Hey everybody out there in YouTube land. Looks like we're going live here at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's noon in my neck of the world, which is Pocatello, Idaho. And welcome to everybody. Looks like had a pretty fun video this week with Wichita Fire Department. And thanks, shout out to Fire 10 Rescue. Once again, if you're interested in watching live when I go live, set your subscriptions when you subscribe. Set your notifications, and when I go live like this, it'll ping your phone or wherever you are watching YouTube, and you can tune in. If you tune in, feel free to chat me up. I got the chat box down here, and I'll try to take a look at that on occasion. Let's get this video up so everybody has a chance to see what we're doing today. Hey, shout out to the new subscribers. Got Stephen Fair and Ian Ayers, and then Dub City All Star 7409. Hey, Dub City, thanks for subscribing. Dub City sent me a comment too about the video from last week, reinforcing that there was a lot of digging out in between the floors and stuff. Last week we had a commercial building fire with residential above, and I talked about how the fire could be getting into the void spaces and how to read smoke to figure that out. And he did, in fact, come back and let me know in the chat or by comments that was, in fact, what happened there. So, anyway, as we start today, the way I did it on SBSK and the way I'm going to do it today is I'm going to just run through the video, turn the audio on here. I'm going to run through the video and just let you make your own read, right? So here's the officer getting out of the cab. He's going to go around. You're going to follow him around, and you're going to get to see the fire building. It's a single-family residential. And I want you to make your own read of what's going on, and then we'll come back and do a little analysis, right? Okay, here we go, everybody. And bang, here we go. So you should have picked it up already, and we're looking at here is a basement fire. And how do we see that? As he comes around here, boom, you can see there's smoke coming out right here out of the basement. Now this is low volume, right? It's laminar, which means it's cool. It's just coming out nice and flat. It's not pumping out. It doesn't have a lot of energy, which we would call turbulent, right? So it's really a pretty low volume of laminar, right? I'd say, you know, as far as thickness goes, we can see through it pretty easily. I'm sort of in the middle on this one. I think it might be pretty thick down here, but and this is a very small window, right? So we always talk about the size of the opening. This is a pretty small window, and then the color is black, right? And so just looking right here, we go, hey, we have a basement fire. Now, the fire might have extended up to floor 1 or into the attic space or whatever, but the source, right, as soon as we see this, the source, we can tell right away, right away is a basement fire. And we're going to see some other things we're going to talk about, but you'll notice, let me give credit to the officer here as he comes around here. Notice that he looks over and he looks over, he sees it. Right now, there's already a line stretched here. Somebody's already fighting fire here. I don't know what this crew is assigned to do. Maybe they're searching, maybe they're helping. But what I want to do here is just stop the video here because there's a couple of things that, other things that we can see here. One is that it looks like there's smoke just drifting out of the front door. You can see it along the edge here as the crew suits up. Right, you can see it really low volume, laminar, thin, whitish gray coming out. It's coming out the door right at the very, very top, right? They're able to, way above their head even. So at that 6 to 7 foot up to the ceiling level, it's just drifting, right? If you have a basement fire, then typically we'd see maybe a little bit lower, but we don't know how long the store's been open. We don't know what the firefighting operation is, but we do know it's low volume, laminar, thin, and white, right? We also have some pretty good smoke production back over here on the Charlie Delta that we should take note of as we're coming around. And if we were a little bit back where he started, we'd probably be able to see it. And you can see it back here, right? So more volume back here. And so what that, if I think about in context, right, we haven't gone around the building, I don't know for sure. If we have these small windows all the way around, and it looks pretty flat here, it's Kansas, this is Wichita, shout out to Wichita Fire Department again, but it's probably not a daylight basement, right? There might be a cellar door or something like that, but it might be just these windows like this. And so if that smoke is coming out one of these windows, it's pretty good volume from that small of an opening, but again, it's not a crazy turbulent volume. It's not really super high turbulent black smoke coming out back here. And with this line already laid, you know, whether they're actually fighting fire down there or not, I don't know, but we'd probably be able to say, look, my expectation, right, is that the fire is in Charlie Delta in the basement. And that's just from this front view, right? If we got a little bit around or we could see a little bit more, we might be able to hone that in. Or, like in this case, these guys are going straight to work, so somebody might have already made something on the radio, like, we have a basement fire on the Charlie side or something like that that's giving them an indication. Now, if they rolled in here and they saw this and the first in crew said, hey, we have a floor 1 fire, then I would expect somebody from this crew to hop on the radio and go, hey man, this thing's in the basement. And that's happened, I've been on a number of fires where that's happened, where we thought, first in crews thought a second floor fire or even an attic fire, and the reality was it started in the basement. That's particularly true for balloon frame construction, right? It can start down here, go zip straight up the wall, and show as an attic fire. So the main thing, right, is that as you're arriving, that the conditions you see, and I talk about this all the time, right? What you hear coming in, what your expectations are, and then when you get there, what do you see? And is that in line with your expectations or out of alignment with your expectations? And so the example I'm talking about is where the first crew said, hey, it's a floor 1 fire. You get there, you see this, right? You go, hey, wait a minute, everybody, this is a basement fire. And to the extent that that might create a change in tactics or strategy or the order of assignments based on your SOPs and SOGs, who knows for sure, right? Now, there's a couple other things we can see here, and I'm going to let it play out a little bit. They're going to focus in tight on the crew so we can't see that window anymore. There is another window right here, and you see this just drift coming out of there. Really no energy at all. The line's making progress, which is good. And now we can see it's a little bit increased volume here, but nothing out of what the expectation would be, right? So in a while, right, we're going to see what we might expect to see, which is that changing to white or steam as they get the fire under control in the basement. Now, a couple other things we want to think about here with the basement fire is based on the size of the window and the fact that it's really flat ground. You know, I don't know if they're going in from the top or if they're stretched to, if there even is a cellar door, right? But if you haven't been to the UL FSRI, if you haven't been through their basement fire stuff, it's like 6-7 years old now, but it is really important that you go take a look at that. One of the dangers of these basement fires is right here you're operating above, right, and if you go down the interior stairway, you could be going down the exit path, right? You might be right directly in the flow path. One sort of saving grace that I was getting to with these windows is because they're so small, right, the amount of ventilation that can get added to the basement is pretty small. So even if they haven't hit the fire yet, and even if we're venting these windows, or even if all of these windows are vented, you're not providing tons and tons and tons of fresh air, fresh oxygen to the mix down low, with it being able to go out the stairway and then out the front door, creating a really nice flow path. And if you're in that flow path, that can be a super dangerous place to be, right? But with the size of these windows being so small, and there might be no other access to get into the basement, might be the only choice, right? And I'm just projecting, right? I don't know for sure what's going on here. I'm just saying that if I know that all the windows are this tiny, then the risk of going down the flow path, the risk of it creating a significant fire is lower, right? It's lower. And there's plenty of examples, even some fatalities like in San Francisco, where the crew went in, started to go down the stairs, and then big windows break out in the basement side. It's a daylight basement, providing the fire. The fire flashes over and it vents up the stairs and out the front window, seriously injuring some people and killing others. In fact, in Seattle we had a Mayday back in 2003 or 4 where that exact thing happened. But that's not the case here, so let's get back to what we have going on here and get back to this very beginning part. Go around, see low volume, laminar, thin, black smoke, right? Another good example of where just because it's low volume or not turbulent, right? Low volume and laminar doesn't mean that it's not providing you really valuable information. It doesn't have to be crazy hot smoke to be valuable to your decision-making process, right? Now I'm gonna fast forward a bit here just so we can get back to where we sort of were before, where they vent this window. Some more crews are going to go in, and just in a second we're going to get a look at that window again. Sorry, the video is kind of choppy here. I don't know if that's me or YouTube at this particular moment. But no increase, right? That's the other thing we can look at as they're operating. Pretty much just the same drift up here, right? So we know the fire's probably not getting a lot worse because we don't have increased smoke production, particularly if this is at the top of the fire. We'd want to be aware of that. And now we can see, in fact, the volume's way down. We have white, right? Clean, pristine, dissipating white. So the fire attack's underway in the basement, and the risk just went boom. I mean, the risk just went down tremendously once we see that steam, that white smoke. And we know that the fire attack in the basement is well underway, right? And from that other window, we did get a little black smoke when they vented that other window down there, but now it's gone. It's gone here. There's nothing coming out there, nothing but white there. Still some pretty good coming out the back here. So my guess is there might be a bigger opening, maybe a cellar door or something like that back in that corner, right? But that's all guesswork for me, right? I'm just projecting out what I think is going on based on my experience, what I read of the smoke here, looking at the building, right? Read the smoke, read the building, try and figure out what's going on. And the main thing here is to recognize that we have a basement fire. And we want to say, is that in alignment with the first in reports, or is it out of alignment with the first in reports? We want to adjust accordingly. Looking at basement fires is they're dangerous. One of the things that we did in Seattle during my time there is we went 180. When I started, we went in the front door and down the stairs, and after the assistant chief operations looked at the UL NIST stuff, we changed a lot of daylight basements in Seattle because it's a hill city, and most of the time we have access at grade. And so we changed our policy and said, hey, if it's a basement fire, the primary fire attack is at grade, right? So say Charlie's side access to the floor to the basement, we would stretch around, go directly in the basement. Second line of searches and stuff still going upstairs. As soon as that fire is knocked in, the risk is taken out of it. Right, we can fast forward a little bit here, and really nothing dramatic changes over the course of time, right? There's still smoke coming out, or mostly steam still, right? They're going to open up a little bit more, and they're probably just into the overhaul stage now, assuming they've gotten their primary search done, and they're off to the races. All right, hey, sorry for the sort of the glitchy the glitchy video this week. Did the best I could, but hey, you know, that's the way it works sometimes. And with that, everybody, there's the teaching. If you want to understand where I'm teaching, they're in the show notes. Got a new link to Akron, New York. Going up there teaching both reading smoke and tactical decision making, 4 hours of each. The link for registration is in the show notes here, so take a look. And we'll see everybody out there on the road. Really looking forward to getting out on the road teaching. And thanks for tuning in here to Reading Smoke with Phil Jose. I'm Phil Jose, and I'm out.